Today's story is titled The Plague of Flesh by Flaming20. The link to the story is in the description below. Please enjoy. Prologue: The King. King Theon stood gazing above his once great city, tears building in his eyes, the wind licking at his face as he inches towards the ledge. Why must it be me who fails? 4,000 years and 347 kings, and I must be the one who fails. Theon looks out to the mostly empty streets, the only movement being shambling forms roaming below. Are those real monsters or just visions? It's gotten so difficult to tell the difference. "Jump, King! Jump!" A voice sounds out in his head. "Weak! Coward!" Another. "Join us. Peel your flesh off!" Theon grabs his throbbing head, his heart thundering in his chest. They aren't real. He could do little to comfort him in the face of insanity. There are no voices. There are no servants, no guards, no priests, no healers, no... They have all gone, or perhaps died. Theon looks back into his grand chambers, ornate filigree decorating the stone walls, now covered in a thick layer of dust. Gold-encrusted jewels and finery, a dull brass color, saddened with neglect. A tower that once, not long ago, signified the capital of this grand kingdom, now an empty shell of whispering winds and broken promises. Where are the priests who gave hope? Have they all perished? Where was this so-called God? Is he feasting on the souls of my people? Theon cries out, tears now flowing across his young face, nearly causing him to fall off the ledge, catching the window frame. No general or advisory to tell me where I went astray. It all happened so fast. Maybe I didn't listen. Or maybe they wanted me to fail. Or maybe this is all a nightmare, and I will wake up soon. Theon laughs, an insane laugh. That must be why I see shapes and hear voices. I'm so stupid, of course. I will jump and wake up. Yes. Theon steps forward. Part 1. The Doctor. The doctor surgically removes the man's crushed, ruined leg, a job he's done dozens of times. The muffled screams of the injured man overshadowed by the sawing sound of the hacksaw slicing through flesh and bone. After an agonizing 3 minutes, the limb is discarded. A nurse brings in a red-hot iron, searing the wound shut. The smell of rotten bacon fills the room. Dr. Josef Smithnevich walks out of the room, derobing from his bloody overcoat. The old doctor addresses the young wife of the newly one-legged man. We had to amputate. I'm sorry. His words flowed like a river of ice. What? Why? What are we gonna do? The woman's eyes, already red from crying, begins to tear up again. He will live. Dr. Josef walks away from the now inconsolable woman and continues with his duties. She should be thankful. A man with a leg crushed like that, that's the third miner I've treated today, and the other 2 are dead. Continuing down the shadow-laden hallway, lit by torches, he walks to the next life to save. The never-ending task of gruesome work, patching together peasants and laborers. Doctor! Nurse Annabelle calls. I need your help! What is it, Annabelle? We have another one of those talkers in the sick ward. Her normally jovial face laced with concern. It's just another fevered patient having hallucinations. Nothing to worry about. They will probably pass soon anyhow.
This is the fourth one this week.
Enough! I am tired of your contrived concerns for a dying man. Now I must be on my way home. I've seen enough death for today. Annabelle's face turned solemn. He hates making her upset, but this talk of nonsense is too much. So hopeful that we can help every soul entering into our ramshackle palace of death. This place is no place for such a hopeful like her. One of few who believes in gods and omens. There is a reason not many continue to hope like her. I apologize, he said with a sigh. I will look into it tomorrow. You have my word. I've been ignoring the sick ward for too long.
Thank you, Doctor. Have a safe walk home.
A small smile returns to her face as the doctor walks out of the hospital. Yosef trudges through the waterlogged cobblestone streets of the capital. Even in this dreary weather, the streets still bustled with people, shopkeepers selling goods, horses pulling ornate carriages, a mighty change from the melancholy of the hospital. The old corrupt church is gone, but we have the answers! A priest yells in the middle of the town square. I am the liar, and he is the plectrum! Yosef grumbles curses to the bumbling fool. After the plague times and the crumbling of the old church, a whole gaggle of cult-like heresiarchs preyed on the weakness and desperation of many. No god would cause all that death. 2 out of every 3 dead, rotting away, their bodies nothing more than meat sacks waiting to be relieved of their souls, he thought. Yosef feels the gaze of the priest as he crosses the square. He whispers in the silence between my heartbeats, the priest hissed. Eventually making his way out of the city center to the narrow winding streets, rounding the corner on a row of downtrodden houses lines the street. His home, sad and unmanaged, the plaster peeling from the front, shingles unsuccessful in keeping the rain out, windows boarded. A similar state to the rest of the homes in most of the city. He enters and is greeted by a dark, dingy home, a damp, cold coffin of a space. The smell of wet dog permeates the air. He walks through the space, dodging empty bottles and broken furniture, making sure not to acknowledge the poor situations he finds himself in. Grabbing a half-empty jug of ale, he collapses into the high-backed settle, something that barely passes for a bed. Drinking himself to sleep, as a portrait of his tall, blonde-haired wife and a small, stubby little daughter stare at him, a reminder of the good times before the plagues took everything. Waking into his daily nightmare, Yosef walked back to work, pausing just before the imposing weathered wooden double doors of the hospital. At least I still matter here. Make a difference? No. But this is my realm. He takes a deep breath and enters. Dr. Yosef immediately hit with a familiar sound of a place of death and pain. Through stone hallways and wooden doors, the groans of pain from the patients sound like horrible howlings of hollowed souls. The smell of sulfur and pitch burns. Small trails of smoke hang in the air from the torches and fumigation pots. So this is my kingdom, he thought.
Doctor!
Annabelle briskly walks over, a haggard look in her face.
We've lost 3 in the night, and 2 more are close.
Wonderful. Let's get this over with. These talkers you keep mentioning. Why are you so interested in the ramblings of the nearly dead? It's widely reported that many mumble nonsense before they die.
That's the thing, Doctor. It's not just ramblings. They talk in coherent lines. Here, read this. I've written some of what they have said.
She hands over an old leather-bound booklet. Words from Alex, the blacksmith's son. I hear across the veil of fog. Something speaks from beyond. George, a homeless old man. They tell me how to contact God herself. I must peel off my face and give it to her. She will like that very much. A small child of unknown name. Stoke the fire and kill the horse. Build the pyres and bring the corpse. The quotes continued on, some cut off as they died, others a garble of words incongruently thrown about. This is wrong. In all my days I've never heard these words from a dying man. At the end of the pages, a small passage from the nurse reads, "The omens from all of this are clear. There is something happening. I've read a book that said when people are close to death, the veil between the gods and men grow thin enough to communicate."
This isn't good.
After donning the wax-covered leathers and the crow-like mask, filled with mint leaves and rose petals to protect from the miasma, the noise emanating from behind those red doors was a sickening chorus of dying people. The two enter bombarded with the stink of rotting flesh, the skin sloughing off in foul chunks from the still barely living.
There are only a few left that are still in the talking stage. Once they start, it's only a matter of days before they die. There have only been 3 patients I remember surviving this, and only one was sane after.
Annabelle spoke with confidence. She obviously cared for these people, trying to ease their suffering before the end. But there was something else there too, a curiosity that sparked in her eyes. According to the reports, the number of plague victims is slowing. After 10 long years of this, it might soon be over. Just for another plague to take its place. Will that one be worse? Will humanity survive? They walk over to a grizzled older man, wet pustules dotting his grayish skin. Wide, bloodshot eyes stare into the ceiling. The smell of feces and piss gets stronger as they approach. Dr. Yosef gets only close enough to speak to the man.
Can you hear me, sir?
A special gift. We must free.
The man's words are jumbled and barely coherent.
Let us move on to the next.
Wait.
The man seems to gain a level of clarity.
Doctor, come please.
What is it?
Yosef's face turns sour at the thought of approaching him further, but does so.
I need a priest. Those ones from the Flesh Church.
The man's voice, raspy and quiet.
I have news for them.
Okay, I will send someone immediately.
Part 2. The Soldier. Dear Sapphire, I hope you receive this with good health in mind, and that this coin will last you through the winter. I will return soon. The jobs grow thin and the sick are everywhere. I lay in the dark dreaming about the black slate hillsides, dotted by bright green pastures. Something I once thought boring is now all I want. Write back soon. Your father.
Another drink, please, John.
He asks as he folds the parchment and seals it with wax.
I've got another job for you, Jack.
Jack looks up from his letter to his only real friend in this wretched city. I suppose it says a lot when your best friend is a bartender.
Sure. What you got? I just need a few more to return north out of this place. Well, my friend, this one gets you out of the city, so you'll like that. The caravans on the South Road are getting attacked by something, reported to have killed 6 people at this point.
John's face was always plastered with a smile, but an air of seriousness flouted in his words.
35 gold coins.
God damn, 35?
Well, when 2 other hunters failed already, it gets upped.
Jack knew as soon as he said 35 gold coins that this was serious. No ordinary hunt pays anywhere near that much. Even scaring bandits off only pays 20. But not only could he finally go home, he could afford a comfortable life with his wife and daughter.
Fine. Give me the bounty card and I'll get it done.
As John turned around to grab the information, Jack thought he saw his friend's smile fade for just a moment. Jack waltzed out of the city gates clad in his ragged, patched-together leathers, hand axe girded on his belt, and a broken shield bound to his back. A hint of fear pulls at the back of his mind, but a stronger pull of freedom drives him forward. I've lived through plagues and killers. I can live through this. Outside the crumbling stone walls laid an ocean of oak and elm trees. A shadowed group of roads flowed out into the forest, one said road being the Empire's southern road, leading all the way to the White Sands, stretching for miles, seeing all sorts of people, traders carrying silks and ornate jewels, or peasants bringing their harvest. But now the road carries death. The Empire grew too weak to patrol their own lands, giving over the job to old countrymen. After a few hours of fresh air and warm weather, Jack gets to the area where the caravan was attacked. Blood still stained the gravel and trees. Splotches of red littered the ground. The scene looked like nothing Jack had ever seen. Pieces of a wooden cart still scattered. It was impossible to imagine the struggle that entailed here. A trail of blood led into the forest. An animal must have dragged one of the dead away. Jack marched forward off the path, into the darkness, his heart beating faster to prepare for the fight. Even the sunlight was too frightened to reach down below the undergrowth. A warmth washed over Jack as he went. The smell of freshly butchered pig and slightly sour blood filled the forest. Donning his ragged shield and axe, he held no fear, for nothing will stand in between him and his family.
Holy shit.
As the cave came into view, Jack saw a mass of flesh, red and beating, writhing and massive, coating every inch of the land, like a giant cloaked in layers of raw flesh. A form steps away from its fleshy tunnel. It stood 12 feet tall, a hulking figure with barely human features, one green eye and one blue. It peered into Jack's soul.
Join us!
A gurgle struggle coming from an unseen mouth. Part 3. The King. King Theon stands above his once great city. Plague has ravaged his capital. People suspect that his father had brought a curse upon the Empire after denouncing the god of health when his wife grew ill. A bunch of gods rot, a rumor made by sorcerers in golden robes.
My lord,
Old rotund Chamberlain George bows deeply.
we have important matters to address.
Yes. I will be right there.
Strutting through the golden halls, Theon can't help but think of what can be done, if anything, to save his kingdom. Servants bustling around the Grand keep cleaning, sweeping and bringing food to and fro. Everyone is dressed so well. If I only stayed inside, it would seem as though the whole world is rich and beautiful.
My lord, have you taken your medicine today?
George breathlessly says as he walks behind the king.
Yes, I have. Does it have to taste so foul? A king's palate shan't be cursed by such a thing.
Yes, my lord. It was crafted by the alchemist. He says it protects from the plagues.
In the king's council gathered many dukes, earls, admirals, generals, the chancellor, and treasures. a great power all in one room. It makes the air thick with unspoken threats.
Thank you all for making the journey here. I sit before you with grave concern. Our empire, along with its people, are dying.
A great chorus erupts in the council chambers. The meeting to end all meetings has begun. Theon sits in the empty council chambers, sweat marking his brow, his hair a tangled mess. Why must we live in interesting times? Head in hands, after hours of deliberation, nothing had been decided upon. The fate of all the world sits on the shoulders of these men, and all they worry about is their own pitiful standing, or ideas that enrich themselves. Duke Xavier told about monsters in the night. Now even the Duke's grown insane. The Chamberlain walks into the room, sweating with nervousness.
Lord, it is time for rest. There will be more meetings tomorrow. There will always be meetings, never any answers.
Duke Lucas says he sees the plague subsiding. There was hope for the Empire.
Perhaps you're right. Or perhaps Lucas is a dunce. The Empire is on the brinks of collapse. The farmers die. The servants starve. The gods have left.
Tears form in the king's eyes as he laughs. Part 4. The Servant. The thin, emaciated boy sits in the corridor, the king in the next room talking with himself again. The meeting with the other lords went as well as one would expect. Trying to argue with an insane king is like arguing with the wind. It listens to nothing and answers less. The lords talk amongst themselves about a new king, but everyone thinks themselves to be worthy. None are worthy. None can see she speaks to the dead. She will save us from ourselves. No more starving, no more serving, no more lords. We gather, and as we gather, we grow. She will bring us to salvation.